One thing that I constantly hear getting thrown around nowadays is that we have to have an indie rep in Smash Bros. And I'm not sure where this mentality came from, but I think it makes sense. Indie gaming is a huge part of the gaming community as a whole, and with all the other things that have been added to Smash Bros. Because it's a huge part of gaming, why not have an indie rep? However, this comes into large contention when it comes to who is going to be the indie rep. And, well, I like to call them the 4 S's of the indie-pocalypse. Because when it comes to an indie representative in Smash Bros., people think it's either going to be Shovel Knight, Shantae, Sans, or Steve. And 2 of them I wouldn't even qualify as indies anymore. However, if you ask me, I think they all translate really nicely into Smash Bros., especially the first 2. So in the future, we'll be looking at all 4 of these characters, but as you can probably guess, today we are looking at Shovel Knight. Before we start off, I am going to be getting into some Shovel Knight spoilers. This game isn't too plot intensive, so if you haven't played it, it's probably not going to sour your experience. However, I do recommend that you play this before we start. Shovel Knight was one of the most voted for characters in the ballot, at least by what people said they voted for on the internet standards. And with recent news of the ballot possibly being rigged, then it's no surprise that we got who we did as opposed to any other character. But Sakurai added Ridley. So there's no doubt that he's heard of all the support coming through different characters like K. Rool, Waluigi, and most importantly, Shovel Knight. So if it was my job to translate him into Smash, here's what I would do. First off, most of his tilts and smashes would have to be Smash original. Without using any of his magic attacks, Shovel Knight only has 2 attacks, and these would work great for his jab and forward smash respectively. As for his aerials, we're basically in the same boat. They could keep the mechanic from the Chaos Armor that you get from beating Kratos, but because that's a Sony exclusive thing, it might be in the air. For his up air, I think he could have his throwing anchor though, so he could have something similar to Mega Man's up air. I also think it's way too obvious that his down air should be his Shovel Knight pogo stick per se. If you land on an enemy, you'll bounce way back up, kinda like Link's, but on steroids. Other than that, not too many things in his games could translate to neutral attacks. However, for his specials, this is where things get fun. His neutral should be the Flare Wand. Have it be slow moving, have it do a little bit of damage, but has enough knockback and stun for you to follow up. His side special would be the Dust Knuckles, and I think these could also function straight out of his game. If he hits an enemy, he kinda gets pulled through them. I'm not quite sure how to describe that whole motion. You could either choose to go in a second time and keep punching back and forth, or get completely demolished when your enemy figures out what you're doing. For his down special, I think it should be the least ceremonious of what Shovel Knight has to offer, and have it be the Fishing Rod. I think if you had it do a lot of damage, but make it really difficult to hit and slow, it would be perfect. And it would be great for edge guarding too. I don't know how much good it will do you with the move being so slow, but the option is there if you so desire. And for his up special, well, I think we can break the rules of Shovel Knight just this once and have it be the Propeller Dagger. In game, it only goes horizontally, but in Smash Bros, I would make it work like how Fox's up special does. You hover for a moment, then you choose what direction to go. And Shovel Knight would hold the dagger out victoriously in front of him. As for his Final Smash, I have a couple different ideas. In Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Final Smashes are now to the point and quick. And I think, what weapon is better than the War Horn? I can see this functioning how it does in game. He just blows on it, everything in a little radius goes bye-bye. However, I would argue that is pretty lame compared to some of the other stuff that Smash Bros. Has to offer, so let's make it a little bit more interesting. What if we had it be like Greninja's Final Smash? Shovel Knight summons Shield Knight, she charges forward, hits some dudes into the air, and once they're in the air, Shovel Knight starts slashing at them. But Shovel Knight still applies to gravity, he's not just flying around. So how does he get back up? He bounces off of Shield Knight, just like in the final boss of the game. Granted, this would have to be a lot more cinematic than the final boss of the game. There would have to be some more Smash Bros. Flair to it. If neither of those fit your fancy though, a third possible Final Smash could be a recreation of the cutscene where Shield Knight's falling from the air. Your Final Smash starts, it has the cut-in animation and everything, and then suddenly Shovel Knight just has his hand up in the air. In this moment, you would be invincible, and you would do slight damage and knockback to everyone you hit. So everyone could hit you, but if you ran into them first, you would have an advantage. Wherever Shield Knight falls, you can jump and catch her, and when you catch her, everything explodes around you, maybe kills everyone above 100% like Bayonetta in the Great Cave Offensive, and then Shovel Knight has a cute little animation of waking up. Any one of these 3 I think would be perfect fan service to the game. However, I'm a bit partial to the last one. Now for smaller stuff that would come with Shovel Knight, I say his costumes could be based off of all the different armors in the game. However, there's only 6. I would say the Armor of Chaos and the Toad gear too, but those are both exclusive to Microsoft and Sony platforms, and I think there's a little bit of Lego mumbo jumbo in there that's stopping us from making full use of those. My thought is, for his last 2 costumes, you could throw in the fish head from the Amiibo costume, perfect Nintendo exclusive, and the body swap armor, because that was a hugely advertised feature, and I could see them wanting to include it. His intro animation will probably be the flip and shovel joust that he does before he starts every level. However, I think it'd be a lot cooler if he rode in on the mobile gear, then flipped off of it and did the shovel raise. That's because I really like the mobile gear, but that thing is not as useful as everyone likes to say. For his taunts, I'm picturing one of them could be a propeller rat flying out from behind his armor, and then he dinks it with his shovel. He could drink an ichor from a chalice. And I think lastly he could pull out a trouble that will bounce around a little bit, kind of like Goldeen, but then fly back behind his armor. And as for his victory animations, one could be his victorious shovel thrust at the end of a mission, one could be a little pose with him and Shield Knight, similar to Chrom and Robin, and one could be him resting by a little pixelated fire. However, not everything Shovel Knight related would be just in the character. Most third-party characters in Super Smash Bros. Have gotten an assist trophy and a stage to go with them. So by playing by this rule, what would Shovel Knight get? As an assist trophy, I think King Knight would be perfect. Have him show up, pose victoriously, and then the dangerous confetti rain through the air. However, I could also see both Spectre Knight and Plague Knight playing exactly like their boss fights and being great assist trophies as well. And for the stage, towards the end of the game, you get into a boss gauntlet when you drop onto a table with all of the Order of No Quarter sitting there. I think that table location would be a great spot for a stage. Have it so each of the Order of No Quarter have something that changes up the stage a little bit. Not acting as stage bosses, because we all know how much those are loved in Smash Bros, and I think 9 of them would be a little bit too much. Let's say King Knight changes the background to be gold, and has the propeller rats fly in and attack. Polar Knight makes the entire ground slippery like ice, and maybe add some spikes in the corners. This stage would be a great callback to the games, and would give each of the Order of No Quarter a chance to shine. So, in conclusion, I've played Shovel Knight about 15 times now, with all the different characters, different settings, different game modes, different cheat codes, and once more in the main campaign for this video. And well, I love it, and I would love it in Smash Bros, and I think a lot of people are right there with me. I think Shovel Knight is one of the more realistic characters of the 4 indie horsemen. However, with Smash Ultimate being on the horizon, only time will tell. I hope Shovel Knight gets in, and it'd be awesome if he got in just the way I described him, and if he doesn't, that's fine. Only time will tell. Until then, I've been RVRocks. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more of this stuff in the future, and thanks for watching. See ya!